Hi, I'm Kathy Johnson. Welcome to Town Talk. As you can see, I have no guests with me today. We're going to be doing a little bit of an unusual show. I'm going to discuss the power plant in Oxford and my candidacy for First Selectman. I will begin by reading an article that appeared on December 30th in the Republican American newspaper, and I'll take it from there. Political rival to use plant as an issue. Oxford. A fight over the proposed power plant off Woodruff Hill Road could spill over into the municipal election in November. First Selectman George R. Temple has spoken in support of the CPV Tewanek Energy Center proposal for an 805 megawatt natural gas-fired power plant and the millions of dollars in tax property revenue it could generate. Monday, Kathy Johnson, the former First Selectman, criticized Temple for not attending a news conference at the 121 restaurant to answer questions from those who oppose the project. Where the hell is George R. Temple? Hiding under a rock somewhere, said Johnson, who was wrapped in a red scarf on the cold morning. Johnson, a Democrat, hopes to secure her party's nomination to challenge the incumbent Republican in November. I will be on the ballot, come hell or high water, she declared. In a telephone interview that afternoon, Temple said he was not invited to the news conference. I don't hide from anyone, and I'm not afraid to debate anybody on this issue, he said. Well, let's talk about that comment from George Temple for just a minute. He wasn't invited? Now, since when does the highest elected official in the town of Oxford have to get an invitation to join his own citizens up at an airport in Oxford to discuss one of the most important issues this town is facing right now? Since when does that have to happen, that he has to have a special invitation? He says he'll debate anywhere, any place. Well, that's fine. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to debate me over the next year, as I have every intention to be on the ballot in November in 2015, this year. Temple said he respects the opinions of the protesters who gathered in the 121 restaurant parking lot to express concerns over a Federal Aviation Administration finding that the proposed facility is presumed to be a hazard to air navigation. Well, he respects them, but that doesn't show much respect when you don't show up, especially when politicians from nearby towns showed up. So I don't give him a pass on that. I have spent hundreds of hours in different meetings and hearings studying this issue, and my responsibility is to the people of this town, Temple said. I don't know how much time Kathy Johnson has spent on it. Oh, George, for anyone that's reading this newspaper and doesn't know Kathy Johnson, has no idea of my history, I just didn't fall out of the air over the Oxford airport or landed with a parachute from an airplane. I have been in this town for 40 years of Oxford. I was there when the first proposal to the zoning board was to look at the zoning issues on whether this town should sell the property to Tewanek, or Calpine at the time. So I've been around, and yes, I have done as much homework as most, if not more, than others. George, I know you've sat with a lot of people. I know you've talked to a lot of experts on this power plant. I know all about that, but nevertheless, you are a lawyer, and you are an elected official, and you are not an engineer. Now, let's go on. Temple said a lot of hyperbole and false information has been circulating about the power plant. He dismissed, for example, allegations that it would be noisy and that gray water would flow into the Naugatuck River. Well, there's a point that First Selectman Temple and I agree on. There has been a lot of misinformation out there about this power plant. And yes, I agree with him. Gray water is not going to flow into the Naugatuck River. People who are against this power plant should be very, very careful and do their homework very, very well before they make blank statements, including myself. The statements I'm going to make today are true statements to the very best of my knowledge, unless somebody else proves to me in writing or by some reason that I was incorrect. But I am speaking from my heart and speaking from what I know is the truth. I visited other power plants and visited mayors in these towns, Temple said. Nobody regrets these power plants. Of course they don't regret it. Do you think the mayors of the towns are going to say they regret it? Visiting power plants is a much different, you get much different information. It depends on who you visit and to whom you talk to. So I will say that I get my hat off to him that he has done this, but this doesn't prove anything to me. Also, I visited the power plant in New York with George Temple, and I'll talk about that a little more later on during my time here. He said the town would make $6 million when the shovel goes into the ground and another $5 million property tax revenue annually. The facility is once the facility is up and running. Well, those numbers sound absolutely fabulous, but he hasn't proved to me where those numbers came from. We haven't seen a contract yet. He was town council during the administration that actually moved this power plant forward, and he made some of the first deals with Calpine. So what I'm going to say to George is, you're going to have to discuss this in much more depth than you've discussed it with the town. We've only got till the 15th till we get to the meeting with the Siting Council, the public hearing. And George, I know you hope that this would stay under the rug, and I know you hope that it's only a handful of people that wouldn't want to talk about this, but you, in fact, have done the town a disservice by not coming out in the open and being a little more transparent of what you have been doing and the information we need about this power plant, and especially how much money we're going to get from it. Because to me, $6 million and then $5 million thereafter doesn't sound quite like enough money to me. And in the future, I will discuss that in depth. But I want to hear from George on this. Now, Johnson, however, said, listen, George, we haven't seen a contract. Temple said the contract is still being worked on. Well, what a nice, convenient thing to say. Now, let's think about what George has said so far. I wasn't invited, and I'm still working on it. Well, now I guess I'm forcing Mr. Temple to have to speak about something he was hoping he wouldn't have to speak about until the Siting Council approved the project. Johnson believes the power plant may be an inevitability because the Connecticut Siting Council and not the town will make the ultimate decision. Yes, I believe this, and I'll tell you why. Having been in politics for many years and have been a former first selectman, I understand that there are powers that work behind siting councils and politics that goes on nationally, locally, in Hartford, wherever. I can't see that many chess moves ahead. But at this point, we don't own the land that this power plant is on anymore. We have sold it. Any opportunity that we have had to buy this land back or to thwart the issue, the horse has left the barn. The Siting Council is going to make this decision. I can't speak for them, but I can only ask the Siting Council to look at the issue and make a proper decision. I can't tell the citizens in Oxford that they can't have millions of dollars in tax money if that's all they care about is lowering their taxes. I stand firm that I have always opposed this power plant, but this power plant has long, as I said, the horse has long left the barn. Now the issue is how safe can we make it and how much money can we get for it? If I disappoint those who want to see this issue go away, I apologize. But I have to view this from a slightly pessimistic point of view unless somebody can prove to me otherwise that there's something way back in the shadows that's going on that's going to stop this power plant. Now let me see if I can find where I left off. I said, I want this to be as safe as possible, I said. It's at the crossroads of a gas line, a power line, and an airport. Okay, I'm not an aviation expert. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an expert on how much pollution goes in the air, but let me tell you what I do know as a citizen who lives in Oxford, who, by the way, lives far away from the power plant. I know that there's a gas line, an electric line, and an airport up there. And I know the power plant is somewhere around a quarter mile away. And I know that planes have crashed up and around the airport before. I can only imagine, as a leader of of Oxford, how badly that tragedy could be if a plane crashed into that power plant. Now that's where I'm going to take it. Is there going to be pollution? I think that we would be very foolish not to think that there's going to be some pollution in the air. When I visited that power plant in New York, I have to say it was quiet. The stacks were lower than the previously proposed power plant. The technology was wonderful, but there was no guarantees to me that there wouldn't be some pollution in the air. They skirted around that a little bit, that somehow there wouldn't be as much as there already is. So I'll leave it at that. Temple said he considered safety issues before deciding to support the power plant, adding he wouldn't be behind it if he thought it was bad for the environment of Oxford and its neighboring towns. Well, duh. Who would be behind something if they thought it was bad? Okay, I believe him. He says he doesn't think it's bad, but let's talk about the safety in the town of Oxford. Why is Jerry Schwab still waiting for his ambulance? Those are emergency service people. I believe in best practices. If Jerry Schwab wants an ambulance and he thinks it's the best one he can get for how he has to do his job, if he has to save injured people, then Jerry Schwab should have his ambulance. The fire department shouldn't be fighting with the Board of Finance constantly over what apparatus they need. And the other thing that I'm going to bring out here is the police department. Yes, the contract with the police may not have anything directly to do with the safety in this town, but our local police have been 3 years without a contract. Now, there may be a very good reason for that. I have always supported all the emergency services in town, including the Public Works Department, because honestly, if you can't get onto passable roads and the roads and the Public Works doesn't have the equipment it needs, then it can't get to people. Now, all these things are coming. George will say they're coming, but they've been a long time coming, and the existing Board of Finance in this town has done everything it could to look like they're frugal. Well, I believe in being frugal. I'm retired and I'm a taxpayer myself. And I see that I might be running out of time. I probably could have done an hour show. Let's finish. Temple said he considered safety issues before deciding on to support the power plant. He supported the power plant from the very day of its inception. So that to me is erroneous, an erroneous statement. Johnson said she wants to keep Oxford green, adding she would sign a petition against the plant if Temple will. Well, of course Temple's not going to sign a petition, and neither am I, because I am not going to stand in the way of taxpayers' money either in this situation. I know I can't have it both ways, but that's how I feel at this moment, I have to represent everyone in town. I am not happy with this, Johnson said, and if this power plant went away, I wouldn't cry my eyes out. You see, I don't believe money is everything. I believe as a retired person, 67 years old, that I don't want to pay a lot of taxes either. I just want transparency on this issue, and I don't want George to think he's going to put it aside in the hopes that it'll be long gone before he runs for election again, which we don't know if he will or he won't. This is my way of presenting myself as a leader to the public. The opportunity is right. As time goes on, the target on my back is going to get larger and larger as I become more effective in my campaign. As that target gets larger, I have every intention of dispelling any rumors about my last administration, any rumors about myself, and any criticism. This, folks, is only the beginning. I wish you all a healthy, safe, happy New Year, and I look forward to being on the ballot and speaking with you more often between now and November 15th on Election Day. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening, and hope to speak to you soon. Take care, everyone.